Welcome to the Right Brain Loves Laugh podcast, where we dive deep into the dynamic world of small business success. I'm your host, Regina Garay, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. Hi, everyone. How are you? Welcome back to another episode of the Right Brain Loves Laugh podcast. I am super excited for you to meet my guest today. Her name is Carolyn Choate. She is from Financially Free Author, and she's actually an author who also fell in love with funnels and marketing. And I am super excited to have you here today, Carolyn. Welcome.
Thank you.
And so for those of you who are watching or listening, Carolyn and I are part of the same mastermind group. That's how we met. The mastermind group has been together for a few years. And so Carolyn knows all of my deepest, darkest secrets.
Has it been that long?
I know it doesn't seem like it, right?
Not at all.
I know. So it's funny. I love mastermind groups. I've started my own. And having Carolyn in, because just to tell you a sneak peek, Carolyn knows so many good online platforms, and she can tell you how to work them and how to use it. Thank you, Carolyn. You introduced me to a lot of things, so I appreciate that. All right, but we're going to talk all about authorship and book funnels and all that good stuff today. So you ready to get started?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So Carolyn kind of bridges two worlds. She writes romance novels that I love, and she writes small business books or just business books or author-based books, for authors. In the publishing world, in the helping you market your books world. So you kind of got fiction and nonfiction balanced. How did this journey start? How did you get into the authorship and then falling in love with the marketing aspect?
Well, if anybody knows anything about fiction authors, they are not supposed to like marketing. Marketing is that big, evil, scary thing that authors don't want to do. So I was very shocked myself when I realized how much I liked it.
Yeah.
I started out with a plan to be an author full time. That was that's what I'm going to be when I grow up, as a teen in the 90s. And at that time, there wasn't really a good outlet for self-publishing.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time I had really polished up and gotten ready the manuscript I wanted to publish, it was just before Kindle dropped. So it ended up being excellent timing because I did the traditional thing. I was querying it, but it's an odd book for a romance novel. And at that time, you didn't have access to as many diverse niches because the internet was very young and there wasn't Kindle. There weren't really ebooks at all. It was like you can get a PDF of the book, figure out how to read it.
I remember the PDFs of the book. Okay, continue. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, so obviously the traditional publishers were looking for something marketable, something that will reach a wide audience. Whereas once self-publishing came along, I'm sure we'll talk about this more later, you had the opportunity to reach much smaller audiences. So that ended up being ideal for my particular book. And I self-published it in 2009. And then I started doing internet promotion, and I was like, this is really cool. This is fun. This is like a game, and I can set all of these like mazes and labyrinths back pointing towards my book in a way. I thought that's easy. It came so intuitively to me that I thought everyone just like got it. And it was a while before I was in some kind of like a marketing coaching group thing.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody said, I don't get this funnel thing. It doesn't make sense to me. I was like, are you serious? It's so clear. It's so obvious.
And they were like, no, Carolyn.
Yeah. And then I've realized that I am in the minority on that one. Most people find funnels intimidating and confusing. And it doesn't help that like the word funnel, I think, is very associated with these aggressive bro markety types that are like forcing you to buy things and tricking you into getting things you don't want. And real marketing to me is never about tricking. It's about connecting people who actually want or need something with the person who has it, and making sure that it's clear and this is the right thing for you or not. That's okay
Finding
too.
that connection. Because,
Mhm.
and so for those of us, or for those out there who don't know what a book funnel is, can you just explain what a book funnel is and what it does?
Mhm. Yeah, a funnel in general is a path. You lay out a clear path for people to follow, one step to the next step to the next step, to help them know how to work with you or how to do whatever it is that you want them to do, ideally. So I like to describe it as you've got your home on the internet and nobody knows that it's there. And so you build your cobblestone path out to the road and you hang up a sign. And so that path, that cobblestone path is your funnel. And you just put pieces in place to guide people step to step to step so that it's very clear to them where to go next if they want to continue this relationship interacting with you. The benefits for a business are pretty clear. For if you're a fiction author, it might not be as clear, but you do still need a funnel because you want readers to keep on reading your work. You want to think of it in terms of your whole career. In business, they say it's easier to keep a customer than get a new customer. Same thing with readers. If a reader loves your books, make sure they know when you have a new book out, that kind of thing. You want to be able to stay in communication with them, build a sense of community with your readers, and a funnel can do that. So there's a wide variety of ways you can set this up, but what I usually do for books is offering a free sample, like a free chapter. And
Mm.
that way, people could test out if they like your writing style, if they like what they see, and then that gets them on an email list, and you send a few emails that say, this is what you can expect if you would like more of this or that. You lead them to whatever you would like them to do next, whether that is buy a second book in a series or book a call with you, or the sky's the limit, whatever you want to guide them to next.
And I totally love, for those of you watching, when you saw my eyes get wide at how she explained the house and the cobblestone. I mean, I love that. That is such a good visual because, oh, yeah, that's, you need the sign, you're stopping, you're just driving along and you see the sign and you're like, oh, yeah, I got to go there. And thank you. That's such a great visual and a great way of sharing that. And I'm really happy with today's episode because not only are we talking to authors, but we're also talking to small business owners who would like to write a book or interested in being an author. They could be interested in nonfiction or fiction books, but I know that some of the books that you've written target that specifically. So you have a book called The Book Launch Planner,
Mhm.
and then that you help people all through that process. And then the second one is you've published a book. Now what? Like, did I get that? That's the title,
Mhm.
right? I got it right. So it's because I remember that you were like, what do people do after they launch it? So there's your book. It's on Amazon or it's available in different locations. What do you do now? And then you're a part of two different anthologies. The first one is Get Published, which gives people, how you can actually get published by a house and not self-published, correct?
There's a wide variety of chapters in that with
Okay.
experts from all different places. So, yeah, it gives you a lot of insight about different options that you have.
Okay. And then you're part of Heart Centered Marketing, which is another anthology. So when you're looking at all these resources, let's go back to the book launch planner. How is that different from other resources that small business owners or authors have?
I was very inspired to create it when I realized that there's only one other book launch planner at all, which seems very strange.
Wow, that does seem strange. Yeah, yeah.
And I bought that one to look at it, and I thought, yeah, this has a lot of good, useful stuff, but it doesn't cover the stuff that I want to cover. So there was just like this huge gap. I don't know if it was a gap that needed filling, but I went ahead and filled it anyway. And the thing that I really wanted to do was to set out a clear calendar. So instead of just, you should do this and this and this, and you could do this, you could send it to these people, you do, it's really like, on this day, do this. On this day, do this. Like, set your launch date if you're self-publishing, or get your launch date from your publisher, and then count back 3 months, and then start sending out this then. And here's how to write a press release for it, and where to send it, when to send it, how to set up like your social media plan. So it's like very detailed in the step by step.
It is. So you are like basically reverse tasking. And I say this, because I'm super, I consider myself organized. And when in the mastermind group, you gave us the book to look at, to give you feedback on it. And I was literally like, oh my God, this is so great, because I love the
Organizational people go, ooh, tingles.
I know. That's exactly it, Carolyn. So I love that because it kind of gives you a complete blueprint, to authorship. And just to let you guys know, she's so detailed and so good. So if you are planning on launching a book, get that book, because it'll guide you through everything. All right. So let's say somebody's a first-time author, or it's a small business owner who's looking to be a first-time author. What's the one piece of advice you would give them before they start on their book?
You always need to know what comes next and have the big picture in mind. So I think one of the things that makes funnels intuitive for me is I'm always thinking, what's the next step and what is the final goal, and work backwards. So if you're a small business owner, is your final goal to have someone purchase your high ticket course? Okay, let's work backwards from there. What do they need to know before they're ready to say yes to that? How can we put that into a book? How can we put that into a chapter? And yeah, so if you're a business owner and you're looking at a book, you want to think about, how will this book position me in the market? Let's not just write whatever comes to mind, but like, okay, I want people after they read this book to take this action. So how can I set up my expertise in the book to inspire people to take that action? And then also tell people within the end of the book, go and do this next, because funnel.
Yeah, because that's how you build momentum after you publish the book. Because sometimes you publish the book and you're like, I call it an expression of energy, because you have spent so much writing and rewriting and editing and looking at it, and you finally put this baby, it's like a baby, so you put it out in the marketplace, and then you're like, it's out there. And then there's a whole other thing. So that's the momentum that you keep. What's the advice you would keep, the number one advice when someone publishes a book?
And it's the same thing with fiction. It's not as obvious and clear when you're a fiction author. Like, what am I guiding people to? Mm-hmm. Get people onto a newsletter list. Offer some, like what I do, I offer bonus scenes, extra content, like behind the scenes character art in an area of my website that can only be accessed once you do the email address, so that you can keep in touch and you can let people know when there's a new book out. Because again, like building up that platform and audience, that's what building an author platform is. It's making sure that you can communicate with the people who already like the book you publish, so that when you publish the next book, you have a built-in audience, you have that momentum.
This is true, because as you know, I'm an avid reader. I read a lot. And I am subscribed to many, many authors' newsletters, and I love hearing from them. They've got a new book. Tell me about it. Let's do this,
Yeah,
And
I have a favorite author who's pretty prolific, and so I definitely want to know as soon as she has a new book, because I some of her books I've read 4 times more than that probably. Like I've read everything she's ever written. If she has
yeah,
something, tell me.
and this is that whole cobblestone way, because when someone discovers you, it's they're connected with you. They connect with your words, they connect with you say what you say, and that builds a relationship, and that relationship lasts. So that to me is that's why it all kind of works together. And when you're sending out newsletters or when you're sending out emails to any, it doesn't have to be a newsletter. It could just be um, you know, a an offer or anything like that, aside from a newsletter. It Since you're connected, you're open to that person. And so I really love the entire funnel idea, that cobblestone road to lead to your house. So let's say leading to the house that somebody, a small business owner, is like, well, I don't have a high ticket course. I not really selling anything, but writing a book can establish you as a thought leader in your field. So how can a small business owner use a book to establish themselves that way? What are your tips for that?
I think that these days, if you're in the online networking space at all, it feels like everybody has a book, and it's sort of like another person with a book. But when you take a step back and realize that's actually a very small world, and most people are not feeling like everyone they've ever met has written a book. So it's still like very, very special to probably your audience, your potential clients, your target market is most likely going to be very impressed if you publish a book. However you get that done, whether it's self-published, whether it's with a hybrid publisher, whether it's traditionally published, it's going to look incredibly impressive because there's a mystique around how books even get distributed. Nobody really understands it unless they're an author themselves.
That's
So yeah, it gives you a big cachet just because it's like, wow, you wrote a book.
it
Like,
is. It takes a lot. It's not like this easy thing. And I don't personally know many small business authors who are small business owners who are also authors. So when they write a book, I'm like, that's yeah, let's read it. I want to read it. So how now going back to you, because you're an author of romance novels and small business books, guides, nonfiction and fiction. How do you balance that world? What do you put on one hat or the other? I'm so
even though I started life with the fiction writing and that was always my passion, I find the nonfiction comes a lot easier.
does
So,
it?
oh yeah.
Okay.
hmm
Okay.
The fiction takes a long time to percolate and coalesce, like trying to put the story together, and I end up sort of daydreaming through scenarios with characters, and it's very, very slow to come together. And then with the nonfiction, it's just like talking. I just I just start going. And I used to struggle a lot with communication, like as a young person, like a teen and my 20s. I found it very difficult to have conversations because I couldn't think on my feet that quickly. So writing was a really great way for me to communicate. I was really, really happy when email came along because I was writing these long emails because I could say everything I wanted to say. I could know that I wasn't like getting tongue tied. You know what I mean? So I just became very good at writing the way that I talk. And now I'm much better at talking, but I still am able to just go when it comes to the nonfiction. I have so many thoughts and I just want to like put it all out there. I had a blog for 10 years that I wrote almost daily.
It's funny that you say that, Carolyn, because I too feel like I'm so much more comfortable with the written word, and I love talking to people. It's just like there's something about that written word. And I was like you, I started a blog back in 2007 and pretty
Love
much wrote daily because it was like, this is my love of, art, and here's what I think about it, and here's, these examples. It's just,
Want to connect with people that way. I have such a compulsion to connect with people by sharing things through writing, and my family does not understand that at all. They're like, why do you put so much out on the internet? Why are you, do you have no sense of privacy? I don't know, but I just feel very compelled to do it.
well, and that, that kind of goes back to marketing, because you think, okay, so many people do very similar things, but I always think people will connect with your particular personality, your weirdness, your way of talking, your cadence, so you may have different people, doing the same thing, but that doesn't mean they're going to appeal to everybody. So you're going to find those people that love what you write, and I know that you have, so that you have your own people that follow you, that watch your videos, that consume your content. And by the way, just side plug, her YouTube channel, great. She runs you through so many different software platforms, and just,
I like to try to use the YouTube channel to empower people to understand the tech behind their website and their funnel and their email platforms. So just like giving instructions on how to use those things. Because even if you don't want to do it yourself, it's good to have an idea of how it's working
I
if your
agree.
VA is doing it. Yeah.
I agree. Like, I want to know how it works, just I don't want to do it. I want to understand it at the least. Okay. So are there any projects or books that you're working on that you can currently share with us?
I took kind of a long hiatus away from the fiction writing,
Mhm.
and one of the things really that made me realize that funnels are so effective is that my original novel that I self-published in 2009 became completely passive income. And a lot of people are like, oh, passive income isn't real.
Yes, it
It's
is.
very challenging, but it can be. You have to set up these sort of machines on the internet that run by themselves. And it's certainly not a full-time living. That would be lovely. But, even for years, not doing any kind of active promotion, it was still bringing in $20 to $40 a month.
Mhm.
So, like, I knew that it was working, that it was doing something. That's a lot of that is SEO as the way of bringing people to the funnel.
Mhm.
Um, and it just, so I was able to take that break from writing and do other things, explore other possibilities. And I knew that it was there for me when I was ready to come back, which I came back recently and planned out a book series. I've never done a series like this before. So I'm having actually a really good time with it. I am doing it as a hockey team in New England. So each book, one of the hockey team members has their love story. So all the characters show up in all the books, and you can watch the progression of their relationship as they turn into side characters in someone else's book. And it's so much fun. I drew a map, and I have the map in the book, and I'm on
Oh, so you
two.
built out a whole world, and
I've never really done world building because I write contemporary romance. I don't write fantasy, but there's a place for world building even in contemporary, and I'm having so much fun doing it. So book one has come out, book two has come out, and I am writing book three now. It's supposed to come out May 1st. All right? Yes, that's right. I'm very excited for book three because it has an autistic heroine, and that is a hashtag own voices. I am really digging into my experience of autism and the spectrum for this character. So I'm like really, really excited to get to share that.
I love it. I love it. And it's it's so nice to kind of live with those characters, because I've also read romance novels where, it's brothers, or it's, people who work together, or, that kind of thing, where it's the same world, and different characters from different books come in and you know them. So I'm so excited that, for this series. So
I
I'm,
had no idea. It feels so neat to do that, but it's just like, why haven't I tried this sooner? This is amazing. I'm having so much fun just getting to know these people and showing them in different lights and different scenarios. And yeah, it's a blast. So I don't know. I haven't decided what my next nonfiction project will be, but right now I'm eyeballs deep in my fiction stuff, which is under a pen name. That is under Ruth Madison rather than Carolyn Choate.
Okay.
So if anybody is looking for that particular side of it, that is, you'll find it at ruthmadisonbooks.com.
Okay, good. RuthMadisonBooks.com, everyone. And I wanted to go back to something you said before and apply it when you said it was $20 to $40 a month passive income. And that's the passive income, but those people also get on your newsletter list. So that is something that becomes even more valuable because then they get to know you, they get to see what projects you have going on next. So not only is that a small bit of passive income, but it can turn into continual income as they learn more.
It can. Now, you do have a bit of a challenge setting up a funnel that includes platforms that you don't have control over. So when you are an author and you're setting up funnels, you don't have much control when it comes to Amazon. You can't access the customer data. When somebody buys your book on Amazon, you're not getting that email address.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do want to think through that extra step of having a little call to action in the book itself. When you finish the book, it says, for a bonus scene or for an extra chapter, come to my website and sign up. So not everyone is going to do that, but you do want to have the opportunity there for people to do it, because some percentage will, and it will really, really help when you're trying to build a whole career with it, to have that audience on your newsletter list, like you said.
Yeah, and that's so key. Even for a small business owner, if they do a business book, you can say, go here for downloadable PDFs or, extra tips or best practices for something.
And you can sell your book directly from your website, but the advantage of having it distributed through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and other places like that is it gets more visibility because people are already browsing Amazon and typing in what they're looking for. So your books can come up when they're searching. And obviously it gives it a lot of legitimacy if it's published through an online platform like that.
Yep. Okay, so speaking of marketing, what lessons from I've got this question here because I was like, I've got to ask this. What lessons from your book marketing strategies can be applied to marketing a small business?
It really is. Being a fiction author is a small business. And it's even simpler if you are very clearly having a product or service that you're trying to sell, because funnels are everywhere. Funnels are for everything, all funnels all the time. So always, whenever you are having an interaction with someone, knowing how to suggest the next step, knowing what the next step is, super crucial. What else did I want to say about that?
I also like the idea of knowing don't mean to, of knowing the overall aspect, because I think that could be applied even when you're launching launching a product or a service. If you're the way you think about a book, where's it going? What's it doing? What am I doing? And apply that to marketing. What's that over?
Oh, and what I wanted to say is, like, so far we've talked a lot about the pieces that you have control over: your website, setting up your funnel, what people do once they have downloaded a freebie or read your book. But there's the other side of it, of how do people arrive at purchasing your book or downloading your freebie. So the other half of the equation is the traffic, the people coming to wherever your freebie or book is offered. And that is something that is, everyone needs traffic. No matter what kind of business you have, you need website traffic. I have looked at that as 4 different main categories, where you have the organic inbound, which is like posting on social media, doing things that are free in terms of money, but your time and effort creating YouTube videos, posting Pinterest pins. Then you've got the organic outbound, where you might be cold messaging people. Very common in book marketing to reach out to bloggers and influencers and offer a free copy of the book in return for an honest review. So that would be a organic outbound activity. You've got paid ads, of course, and then you have networking, joining groups and getting to know people and having, like joint venture partners, things like that. So I did actually put together a little booklet that breaks down those 4 categories and has suggestions for activities in each of those 4 categories to bring more traffic to your website. So that is on my site at financiallyfreeauthor.com/free guide.
Great. Financiallyfreeauthor.com/free guide. It's all together, no dashes.
Let me just double check, because I wasn't planning to say anything about that, but then the conversation flowed.
So while you do that, I'm going to tell people how they can find you.
Okay, yes, it is without a dash, just free guide.
Free guide. Okay. So I wanted to share that not only are you an author, you have books, you have a very informative social media platforms, and you have books that people can purchase, but people can also work with you directly. You can guide them into, the author, creating a funnel for them or putting together their book. So if someone would like to work with you or just find you and see what you have, how do they find you? How do they?
So my website, financiallyfreeauthor.com, has a section of launch resources. It has some mini courses, and it also has a funnel mapping strategy session. So you can book a time and we'll spend an hour going over your end goal and what you're doing now. And I start having visions when people talk, and I'm just like, I can see exactly how this funnel should go. So then I like create a map of it and send it over to you. And rarely, occasionally, I will actually do the funnel building for people. But mostly I do the strategy sessions and hand you all the information about what you need to build or have built. And I really enjoy doing that. I love hearing about different people's businesses and ideas and what they're trying to do in the world. It's so exciting.
I know you do. That's because you're always curious and you love to learn. And I know this about you, so. And, even building a funnel, because you built a funnel for me to build just my newsletter list, and it's been so wonderful. And so it doesn't have to be like an actual tangible, here's a product, it could be just building your newsletter list. So
yeah, whatever your current goal is for the next step of your business, make a funnel for it. Build that little machine.
Well, Carolyn, guess what? We got to the end. Can you believe it? It went so fast.
I had a feeling that we would have plenty to talk about.
No. You should come back. I'd love for you to come back. I love Carolyn and all that you do, and you really are just so wonderful and so generous and giving. And so thank you. And thank you for coming to the podcast.
Aw, I appreciate it. I'm really glad that I was able to do this.
All right. So thank you everyone for watching and listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye everyone.